And after this, he should be a real X factor for the rest of the year. What's on, guys? J-Hoy back with you today. Welcome back to episode number 10 of our franchise mode with the Anaheim Ducks. So I know in last video I was saying the number wrong, but we are officially episode number 10, right? I'm staring at my YouTube channel right now. It's number 10. So we're not going to screw up this time in our 10th episode. So where are we? Let's see. We are halfway through the year right now. We are top of our division. We have players actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. A goaltending tandem that's working really well. Power play, penalty kill, all of our special teams all doing really well. So we have everything we could need right now, except for we're not at the playoffs yet. So until we are in the playoffs officially, until we have that little X next to our name, we're going to keep fighting and seeing kind of what to do next. So after looking through the trade block and all that stuff, there's not really anyone that I'm really too interested in. There's one player that maybe towards the trade deadline we might go after, but for now, we're going to kind of leave it alone, leave him there, and see where we go from here. But up until now, we've made no changes other than we swapped our second and third defensive pairs. So we had Mintarov and Fabra on the third line. Those guys are now on the second line. Lindgren and Klingberg down to the third. Only change we've made, same lines, same everything, and I think that's it. Let's keep it going, right? We got to keep this run rolling. We're doing well. Like I said, 55 points, top of our division, and we're in a good spot. I mean, there's not really much to talk about. We're in a really good spot. We just have to keep up the wins, keep up the top of the division performance, and we're golden, right? So we have, I'll say one team in our division, the Sharks, that could possibly be an issue later on. But for now, like I said, we're just kind of chilling. We're hanging out. We're doing well. Gonna hit 30 wins on the year. Perfect. A big turnaround from the last couple years. You know, we made the playoffs, but then getting it the last possible second and not really winning. Like, is that really making it to the playoffs? Like, we want to get in convincingly. Like, we don't want to be the last team to enter in to the playoffs. So let's get past these next couple of games. We'll get up to, I think it's going to be 61 games played. Loss against Boston. Big loss against Montreal. All right. So our division starts to take shape here. Actually, it's more contested than I thought. All within 12 points. Sharks right behind us. Canucks and Kraken right behind them. And then those guys, if they go on a little bit of a win streak, you know, we'll be doing something. So, okay. Let me go check the trade block again. Before we check the trade block, let's see how our team's doing. Go through all the stats and everything, and then we'll go through the trade block, see if there's any upgrades out there, and if not, we'll kind of secure the rest of the year and keep moving on. So our forward group, Pacioretty, still up there. Still, he's actually having a great year for a last-second free agent signing. Like, that was huge. Zegras, though, does take him over in points. McTavish from the second line is doing really well. Strome from the third line is doing well. DeBrusk with 24 goals. I didn't even mention it. Pacioretty with 25. Doing well. Terry, 46 points. I'm not going to be super upset about that. Perot's doing pretty well. I mean, like I said before, you know, our third line isn't really doing much of anything. But we also don't really need them to. Like, with how well our team is doing, like, I can't be mad about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'd like more from Mercer. Yeah, I'd like more from Bertuzzi. But, like, at the end of the day, we're winning. And I'd rather be winning than worrying about, like, these two players, like, stats. Like, plain and simple. Like, I'd just rather focus on these guys. So, nobody crazy minus. I mean, -7, I guess. -5, -6. I mean, like, whatever. You know, like I said, we're winning right now, and that's the most important part. Fabro still doing really well. Our top line, right? Is this our top line? Fowler and Drysdale. Now, both very much minus. Lindgren. I mean, like, I'd hate to get rid of Lindgren, but also, like, we probably should look for somebody to play on that left side. What? Y'all remember when Gibson was, like, decent? Now, here's the issue. Is if Fleury was struggling and wasn't doing too well, it'd be a really easy decision to just trade him, get whatever back, and hope something, you know, would continue on with Gibson and either Stellares or somebody else. What happened? Right, 13, 14, and 4, under a 9 save percentage, over a 3 goals against per game, and is just overall just not playing well. Now, the problem is, he's still got 3 years on his contract. I don't want to just solely rely on Fleury here, but maybe we put in Stellares for a little bit, and, you know, for a month, and then put Gibson back in, just give him a little bit of a break, or something. Because, like, that's not good, right? Because I was expecting Gibson to, like, fight for his spot. And Fleury has just taken that over. Now, not that his stats are great by any means, but they're obviously a lot better than Gibson's. So, okay, so things to look out for right now. And let's go back to our defense for a second. So Klingberg, he has a big contract. So if we need to get rid of like a big amount of salary, he'd be the guy I'd move from there. And like now that Gibson's struggling, I don't really want to move on from him right now unless there's like a really good young goalie in the market. But then also we have Dostal. So I don't want to get somebody just to get somebody when Dostal's in the AHL waiting. Now, I haven't checked on the AHL team in a little bit, so we'll go look. But we also got to figure out something to do with Gibson because something is just not working with him. Change of scenery, we'll have to figure that out. So that's a question mark. And obviously, he's got a couple years left on his deal, so we can always worry about it in the offseason. Because if Dostal does come in, we will say, all right, it's your net now, it's your crease. You know, we'll go from there. But for now, it's just such a hard decision. As far as defense goes, now we definitely need to separate Drysdale and Fowler. But here's the problem, though, is like, do I get rid of Fowler? Because he still has, another year at $6.5 million. But also, like, he's one of the faces of Anaheim. So it'd either be Klingberg or Fowler as someone I would trade. However, we do need a left-handed defensive defenseman to kind of fit next to Drysdale. I'd like to have that happen. Fabro is an interesting case because he was playing on our third line all year, and his overall is only an 82. So, like, that's kind of weird. So maybe this is a big blow-up year for him because I think we sign him to a long-term contract? No, it was like 2.5 at like 4 years or something like that. So that's not that big. But we want Drysdale to blow up in a way. Like, we want him to do really well, right? We signed him big deal long term. But then other than him, you know, if we can keep Fabro around for a few more years at least, maybe he blows up a little bit as far as overall. But then Klingberg and Fowler both getting aged out here, and especially guys with like Mintarov. You know, we do have the young talent coming. And I know we do have some young talent in San Diego in the AHL. So at some point, we need to realize that either we need to trade out these big contracts and get something back, or we're going to have to wait till their deals up or something to do anything with. So, you know, a lot of our trade deadline is going to be exactly that. Let's look for something that can help us for future, that can replace some of the pieces we could, possibly get rid of now, and then see how that could affect us moving on through the rest of the year. So let's take a look at the total team stats, like I said, before we get into the trade deadline. And we sit 8th place right now, overall in the entire league. You know, like I said, we have 72 points, which obviously is not bad. So 213 goals for is, okay, so it's in the top, is this 8? So yeah, we sit 7th, so there's 8 teams on our list there. So 7th overall, 22 behind the top, so not too big of a worry there. Goals against, we're at 188, which, okay, so it's just barely out of the top 8, so probably top 10, so that's fine. Power play goals, where are we? We're 8, so we're, okay, so we're what, 4th, 5th, whatever that is, 42, like, I'll take that power play goals. Percentage, what are we at? 21.5, we're up there. So we're still in the same kind of good, you know, standing 86%. I was going to say, that's going to be really good. Good enough for 4th overall. We'll take that. 6 shorthanded goals, and then just solid on both home and away records. You know, last 10 kind of middle of the pack. So we're doing solid. Like I said, we upgrade those couple of pieces, and I feel like we're golden, because right now everything else is working. So after looking through all of the trade block, I think we found a trade that might work. So we narrowed it down to 3 players, and out of the 3 players, it seems like this would be the best deal. So what we've been looking for, like I said, is a left-handed defensive defenseman to play alongside Drysdale and kind of hopefully help the defensive aspect of that line. And we narrowed it down to 3 players. Now, the first one being Siegenthaler from the New Jersey Devils, who is an 83 overall, 26 years old, $3.4 million on his contract with 4 years remaining. Now, okay, not horrible. It's a little tiny bit of a downgrade as far as overall goes, but hey, we're not really looking for a point getter here. We're kind of looking for a role player, if you will. So, you know, not a horrible deal. Plus, he is the least trade valued person out of the 3 players. Second person is Adam Pelech from the New York Islanders, 87 overall. So hey, okay, so a little bit of an upgrade. 30 years old, $5.75 million on his contract at 5 more years. So the best player, or the most overall player out of the 3, the oldest player out of the 3, the most money out of the 3, and the most years out of the 3. So if we're going to get a guy like that, you know, we're going to have to spend big to get him. So that's why it kind of threw me off just a little bit, because him and our next player are kind of all the same trade value. And the next one being from the Pittsburgh Penguins, we have Ryan Graves, 84 overall, 29 years old, $4.6 million at 2 more years on his contract. But if we're going to, you know, make a big run at the Stanley Cup, you got to make a big splash at the deadline. Now, will this go through? So let me backstory this trade. So I know we were talking about either Siegenthaler or Graves, but then I also happened to look at the goaltender situation in the Islanders camp, and Sorokin, who is 89 overall or something like that? Yeah, 89 overall, 29 years old, doesn't have the greatest stats this year, but still has been really good ever since he entered the league 5 years ago. And he could probably do for a change of scenery, right? Maybe come out west a little bit. And I almost said Ryan Gibson. John Gibson has a couple more years left on his deal, along with Cam Fowler. Now, if this goes through, I'll be really happy. Because what we were going to do was take Gibson on the lineup for like a month, you know, put in Stellares, give Gibson a little bit of a break, bring him back in towards the end of the year, and hopefully he could recover from that. But at the same time, I want to see if this happens. Let's see if this make it work. All right, totally unwilling to part ways with, which we were kind of expecting that. Now this should go through after adding in a first, a fourth, and a seventh. This should go through. There we go. So along with Fowler and Gibson with a first, a fourth, and a sixth round draft pick going over to the New York Islanders in exchange for Adam Pelech, Sorokin, and we got two what I would consider to be huge pieces. So I think we're in store for one more trade. Jamie Benn on the market, 84 overall, obviously proven leader over for the Dallas Boys, is on a 1-year contract. So although Grew on our fourth line hasn't been great or awful or anything, he just hasn't really done much. 25 years old, he's not really expected to grow anymore. And, you know, given that we do have still more players that are wanting to come up and make us, you know, earn a spot, I should say, on the NHL roster, you know, I don't feel like he's going to go that much farther with us. And, you know, I hate to say it, but when I was looking around, I saw Max Jones and Max Comtois. And, you know, they're doing good with their other teams. But just with our situation, things happen, right? They move on. Hopefully they grow a little bit. Maybe we could revisit signing them in the future. But for now, let's see what we can do. Jamie Benn, half of his salary retained. Will you come over? Well, it works. Straight up, 1-for-1. Grew for Ben. I don't think there's any other moves that I really want to make. You know, if there is, we'll do them. If not, we'll move on with the rest of our year. Now that we got all the trades and everything all done, here we are into the rest of the year. Off to a pretty good start post-deadline. You know, the few early wins there. Actually going on, what, 5 out of 6 or something like that wins. So we will take that. So we are still top of the division. 74 games played. 39 wins. Almost at 40. 85 wins. We're in a good spot. Let's keep going. Another week. Let's get it. What's that? 3 more games left. And we should be clinching any time now. And still not clinched. So why aren't we clinched? So 80. Okay, so we actually have a pretty good race here. So wild cards at 84 and 83. All right. Well, let's not fuck it up now, boys. Okay, win. All right, that puts us in. So where is that? 41 wins on the year so far. Got a couple games left. We are clinched for the playoffs. And wow, that was a really close. So let's finish it off here after the game against Winnipeg. Hopefully get a couple few wins here. Ending on a good note or 4-1. That works too. So we win our division after barely squeaking in the last couple of years. We win our division. Very tight, close matchup at the very end there against the Sharks. Even the Kraken are right behind there too. Very highly contested division. All within 12 points of each other. That is nuts. Who clinched the league? The Avalanche. Okay, so we're going to have definitely a big-time matchup in the Western Conference. That's for sure. Let's take a quick look at all of the end-of-season stats. We'll see who we're going to be facing off against in the first round, and then we'll have to get ready for the playoffs. So, as no surprise there, Trevor Zegras leads the team in points. Pacioretty finished a really solid year. 63 points for him, 33 goals. I mean, like I said, I can't really complain about anything Pacioretty did this year. Then DeBrusk from the first line had a pretty solid year. McTavish from the second. So the line of Pacioretty, McTavish, and Perreault actually worked out pretty well. Like, I can't be upset about that. The third line, Strome, Mercer, and Bertuzzi. I mean, not awful, but again, if they were playing more minutes up on the second line, maybe they add to that lead in points. Jonathan Taves with kind of like a big year. Honestly, if his trade value skyrockets because of like his performance this year, and we end up trading him in the offseason and getting something decent back, that would be really solid. Comfort, not really expected to get many points down there. Ben, what did he do when he was here? All right, 5 points. I mean, yeah, whatever. I mean, you played fourth line while you're here, not really playing a ton of minutes at all. So, really solid year there. What about defensively? So, Drysdale, his plus minus did not get any better when Pelech joined in. So, that'll be like a future thing as well of like how well can you really do now that you have a really solid left-hand defenseman there. Pelech, when he was with us, again, not really looking for points, but he was -4, 7 points, again, which was not what we're really looking for out of him. But to do that in 21 games compared to the 61 he played with New York this year, we'll take that. So that's solid. He was brought in to be a defensive defenseman, not necessarily a point getter, but to play good defense and kind of play alongside Drysdale. So solid year out of a defenseman. I mean, most likely I'll try to get rid of Klingberg this offseason. But of course, that'll be post-playoffs and everything. Sorokin, it's hard to tell really what he did with us until you look here. But 6-5, I mean, again, not really a big sample size for him. But we'll re-sign him, obviously, going into the offseason. Fleury did well, obviously, with Gibson not performing as well as he could have. He did as well as you could imagine for a player of his former caliber and also, like, fill in the gaps, if you will, giving Gibson a run for his money that ultimately led to Gibson getting traded. So, can't really be super mad about that. He kind of was brought in and did exactly what we kind of asked him to do, is make Gibson fight for his job. And then he lost it. And then hopefully this offseason, Sorokin, Pelech, and whoever else we decide to keep around, that he'll be our number one goalie for the next few years. Maybe Dostal takes it over. Maybe we'll have a good tandem between the two, and we'll go from there. But for now, hey, that works. Quick look through the AHL. There he is. Dostal, 46 wins. I mean, he's definitely got to be in the NHL this year. Like, he's had 3 very, very solid years that he more than deserves to be called up. Bloomquist did fine down there. Walsh, Andre did well. We did swap around some guys down there to try to get some playing time out of some young players towards the end of the year. So, again, not really super upset about anything there. Tracy only got a point per game. Again, not bad at all. Not really much to really look out for there. I mean, Tracy, 15 game-winning goals. All right. So maybe Tracy tries to look for a spot next year. You never know. So we finished 12th overall in the entire league. 42, 32, and 8. Goals for, 274. So up there. Goals against, we had 255. So again, not horrible. Power play percentage, 21.8. So up there in the top 4, we will take that. Penalty kill, 84.8%. Again, we will take that. And, the last 10, we haven't really done that great. But we won more away than we did at home, which is very interesting. So we had a solid year. Penalty kill, power play did exactly what they were supposed to do. We improved dramatically there. Hopefully the fans saw that and want to buy some more tickets coming into next year. But here's the real question. Who's going to be our first round opponent? The Chicago Blackhawks somehow made it in. Now, they were one of the teams we looked for a trade like halfway through the year, and they were doing awfully. So something turned around for them, but quick look at their team. Okay, so they look to be a little bit more stacked than we thought. So Lehkonen, Reinhart, and Radish, LeBlanc, Kurasov, Reichel. Reichel is one of the players we almost acquired. Bunting, Kopp, Monahan, Martinuk, Johnson, Lomberg. Defensively, Korcheski, Jones. Okay, so defensively is where they kind of struggle a little bit. Offense, they kind of put all of their eggs, in their top, I'll say, 8 players. What about goaltenders? Frederik Andersen. Okay, so, he's bounced around so much. But okay, so, again, I feel like we have the advantage as far as an overall team goes. But it's the playoffs. So your points during the season, your wins, your losses, how you play during the season, doesn't matter. It's a brand new slate here for the playoffs. And our team better be ready for the challenge because we win our division. We've gotten bounced out in the last 2 years. in the first round. Will this be the first year with the Ducks that we make it past the first round and hopefully make a run on to the Stanley Cup? But that's going to do it for episode number 10 of our franchise mode with the Anaheim Ducks. I'll say a big year, but we haven't really accomplished anything yet. We're right back in the same spot we've been for the last 2 years. First round of the playoffs. Now, when we get past the first round, well, we'll have to wait for the next one. But guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you did enjoy, hit the like button down below if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure to subscribe, turn those post notifications on so you never miss an upload, and don't forget, you can always change your mind later. With all that being said, guys, we'll see you in the next one.